Hi everybody. I wanted to do a quick presentation to bring to your attention the importance of the reader noticing the details. There's been some research done that shows that even small children, before they're able to read print, begin to notice the details and illustrations, and those who draw and notice in drawings the details of a picture become better readers later because they're attending to some of the particulars of text and writing. For example, if you have a young child who's drawing a picture of their family and they include things like the eyelashes or the shoelaces and some of the details of the picture, then usually those kids grow up to become really advanced readers. So we're going to talk for a few minutes about fiction and nonfiction books, but mostly nonfiction books that can help a child notice the details. One thing you could present to kids to get them to start to notice details is to introduce them to cross-section books. They're usually nonfiction, and it would show a topic, and then if you open up the pages, the illustrations almost cut the whatever it is down the middle and label the parts within. So a lot of kids, especially boys, really like to get cross-section books because it shows them details of different things. So here's one called Pyramid, and this author, David Macaulay, is known for doing lots of cross-section books. But here's a pyramid cross-section book and a mosque cross-section book, and if you open to the pages, it would give you a slice of whatever the object is, and then they would label the parts. Here is a bird's eye view. Here's a cross-section book about knights. And inside it would show you a cross-section view. I guess that's what that is. Cross-section view of what it would look like in a castle. So cross-section books are a great way to get kids to notice details, usually in the upper grades. You might be familiar with this fiction book. A lot of the books by Mercer Mayer are known for being interesting to kids because as they read it, they can look at some of the details, because in all of his books, there's always some little character or critter that you can look for. So in this book, there's a frog, and in every page, even a non-reader can look for the frog. And I did that this week with my son, Wyatt. He looked for the spider, I think, and the frog in one book, and sometimes there's a cricket. So looking for the details is also a great way for them to become a reader before they can understand print in fiction books. You might not have noticed this about Where the Wild Things Are, but one thing about Where the Wild Things Are, the illustrations that usually kids notice, is that at the beginning, the picture of the illustration is a small box, and as the pages go by, they get larger and larger as he gets deeper into his adventure. Let's see if I can forward this a little bit. So he's getting deeper into his adventure, and you can see that the illustration starts to cover cross over the midline of the book toward and starts moving left until the climax of the book when he's having his adventure. See how it crosses right there in the midline? It's becoming larger than life, and then the details of the illustrations show that at the climax, it's I think it's 2 or 3 pages that are completely illustration, no text, covering a double page spread. So you can see just from the details of the illustrations growing that the climax is coming nearer. And sorry, this is taking a while here. This is a little video on a website, so if someone's reading this story, we're just fast forwarding through all that. So you can see, I won't narrate, but it's getting closer. Here's the double page spread, where the illustrations have definitely taken over both pages and the midline. There's 2 pages of it. Oh, two full spreads. Then it starts to get back to normal, and by the end of the book, I don't know if you noticed, but it never does get back to normal. The very last page has an illustrated box that is larger than how it began. So Max, the main character, never did go back to how he used to be. He was changed at the end. Here's how I can fast forward it. And he's going home, and the box is getting smaller. So the last box was right here, and the mid line of the book's right there. So he never did get back to his small box. So that's a detail that usually kids pick up on and adults miss, even if they've read it a lot of times. So I'm going to speed through a few other book recommendations if you want to teach kids to look for the details. This would be considered a nonfiction book. I really love books that have maps in it for kids, and this is one of my favorites. I bought it hardcover, the Once Upon a Time map book, and in there it has fictional places, but then they tried to detail it with some information about it. So here's a map of Neverland, and it has a key on every page and also a little bit of information about that place. So I would consider this an informational fiction book, if you aren't confused by that. Here's another map of Jack's Giant Kingdom from Jack and the Beanstalk, and some points of interest on the map to look for. And up there's the key. Here's the key. And some information about it. So map books are kind of similar to cross-section, but they're really fun to look at. Here's another type of book. I would consider this a picture book. It's not really informational, but in there the author, I'm not sure if it's an author / illustrator, but they take everyday objects and they make it into a picture. So if you look closely at all of these things, it's made from everyday objects. These are pretzels. This is a set of blinds. Everything on here, these are puzzle pieces. And if you ever give this book to a child, they will spend forever looking at all of the details. These are Cheeto Puffs. This is a great one to train their eye to notice some details. I think grown-ups kind of skip over because we're always looking for some deeper symbolic message, or we're just in a rush, but kids, they do like to attend to the details a lot. So here are some of the illustrations from that book, and there's lots of different versions of it. I think there's a few sequels. Here's one of the sequels, and they took bigger scenes. That roller coaster in the back is a guitar. Here's a playground. This was an old-fashioned store. You can pause this if you want to look at the details. This is kind of similar to the I Spy books, or along that same route where they'd identify something that you're supposed to look for and you look for it in the picture. These are also kind of fun to get, where they want you to read some text and then look for the optical illusion in the picture. You probably have seen something like this on a poster before, or things like this where you would try to trick your eye and then the answers are in the back. So those would be considered also, I would think of that as an informational book. Some people refer to it as a picture book, but it's definitely something kids can look at for details. Thanks.